Call the Common Council meeting of September 19th, 2023 to order. Roll call, please.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Here.
Lorik.
Here.
Ritz.
Here.
Marshall. Here. Alderman Gale is excused. Alderman Guzikowski.
Here. Everybody, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Lisa, would you like to start us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Okay, that'll get us to the approval of minutes of September 5th, 2023. If everybody take a few moments to review them. And when you're satisfied there's no omissions, errors, corrections, or discussions, motion please.
Ritzel, motion to approve the minutes of 9/5/2023.
Marshall, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Guzikowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye. And item 4 is our first and only public hearing. It is consideration of a charter ordinance relating to the government and administration of the city of Oak Creek to repeal and recreate various sections of the code from 2.01 through 2.47. Catherine, would you please read that into record?
Certainly. Public hearing number 1 is to consider a charter ordinance relating to the government and administration of the city of Oak Creek to repeal and recreate sections 2.01, 2.02, 2.04, 2.05 sub A, sub 2 sub A, 2.05 sub A, sub 6 B, 207 sub A, sub 4 sub B, 2.07 sub A, sub 5 sub B, 2.07 sub A, sub 6 sub B, 2.20, 2.21 sub A, sub 1, 2.21 sub A, sub 2, 2.21 sub B, 2.21 sub C, sub 3, 2.22, 2.23 sub A, 2.23 sub A, sub 1, 2.23 sub A, sub 4, 2.33 sub A, 2.33 sub B, 2.34 sub A, 2.36 sub A, 2.36 sub B, 2.36 sub D, sub 1, 2.36 sub G, 2.40 sub A, 2.40 sub B, 2.40 sub D, 2.41 sub B, 2.42, 2.43 sub B, 2.43 sub C, 2.43 sub G sub 2, 2.43 sub G sub 5, 2.43 sub H sub 2, 2.43 sub I, 2.43 sub K sub 2, 2.43 sub K sub 3, 2.43 sub I sub 1, 2.43 sub I sub 2, 1?
L.
L, thank you. Correction, 2.43 sub L sub 1, 2.43 sub L sub 2, 2.43 sub L sub 3, 2.44, 2.48, 2.64 sub B, 2.68 sub 1, B sub 1, 2.68 sub B sub 3, 2.68 sub B sub 4, 2.68 sub C, 2.70 sub A, 2.71, 2.72 sub A sub 4, 2.80 sub A sub 2, 2.120 preamble only, 2.120 sub B sub 5, 2.121, and to repeal sections 2.45, 2.46, and 2.47. Dated notice is September 6, 2023. And just to clarify, 2.23 sub B sub 2, 2.23 sub C sub 1, 2.23 sub C sub 2, 2.24 sub G, 2.25, 2.26, 2.27, 2.28B, 2.29, 2.31B, 2.32 sub A, 2.33 sub A, and I think the rest are correct.
As this is a public hearing, we will be making 3 calls. Anybody wishing to speak, please approach podium. Give your name and address. This will be the first call. Second call, anybody wishing to speak on the proposed changes, please approach podium, give your name and address. Third and final call, anybody wishing to speak, please approach podium, give your name and address. Okay, seeing no one, we will close the public hearing and move on to consideration of the ordinance to change a charter ordinance number 17 relating to the government and administration of the city of Oak Creek to repeal and recreate various sections of the code. With that, I'll give it to our city administrator.
Sure. So we're going to go into each of those code sections in great detail tonight. So I hope you brought a cot. But this, Mayor and Council, is, of course, our charter ordinance relating to the government and administration of the city of Oak Creek. And this is part of a process of our organizational analysis, our assessment, and our future design. So with all of these changes, and I don't usually go off the staff report, but I do want to hit those 6 bullet points. The major renovation being done here is to provide the city organization and common council the flexibility, the foundation on which to build out the organization as you see fit, a little more flexibility to do so, and really just meet the needs of this chapter of the city with our founding document, if you will. And it's really important to provide flexibility because, as you'll see with numerous of these updates and numerous of these details we're trying to consolidate and move forward, it's a rather antiquated piece of legislation here, and we really just need to do a lot of updating. So with that, of course, this provides a lot of general housekeeping, corrects citations to other codes and statutes, updates our polling locations, provides some gender neutrality to terms and things like that. It also reflects our current law and recent changes the Common Council made regarding residency requirements for certain groups. You'll recall we came back and ratified side letters with our police and fire unions regarding residency, and the residency for the city administrator position is called out in the employment contract for that position. Perhaps 3 and 4 most importantly, throw 5 in there too. This captures what the staff believes to be the current administrative operations and governance system of the city. So certain titles and processes and responsibilities are related to certain positions, the common council, the mayor, the city administrator, and our statutory and non-statutory officers are all called out, and I will go into that in some length for you, and I think that's probably a big focus of discussion. Enables the flexibility around the organizational design moving forward to meet service and staffing needs as we grow and change as a community. Allows for the implementation of several goals and objectives in our newly minted SAP. And it makes changes to the structure of the Celebrations Commission and some minor language amendments to the responsibilities of the Parks and Recreation Commission, which I'm sure you'll want to talk about as a group as well. So I won't go into each of those code sections in great detail, but I do want to focus some time and attention on where all the red ink is. And on your screen here, this is actually blue ink. Attorney Carls will let me know why that changes to blue when you open up a new document, but I haven't figured that out yet. You see a lot of red ink in your text beginning on page 223. So you can follow along or follow along on the screen. But as we're talking about and redlining out people's titles and positions and whole departments, I wanted to provide you the context behind doing so and the reasons for behind doing so, as I know that there is, in the back of the Common Council's mind, there's this organizational plan that was just ratified, and how those do or don't relate to this, I think it's really important for you to know. Because if you look at this on the surface, it can be somewhat eyebrow raising, and I completely appreciate that. I'm going to start on page 226 and work backwards. So There is a whole section in our charter ordinance that spells out which positions are affected one way or another by the Fair Labor Standards Act, or FLSA. Again, a cleanup item, but I just wanted you to know because it's a lot of the red ink. This is federal law. It doesn't need to be called out in our charter ordinance probably ever, but certainly any longer. So that's the old section 2.47. And then the preceding section here calls out positions that are non-union employees below department manager status. And I did some quick inventory on this section, and I counted up 37 titles that were included in here. And this goes into who among these management personnel, who their appointment, who they appoint within their purview. 43% of these titles no longer exist in the city of Oak Creek. Furthermore, a couple of the departments also do not. But more importantly, to have this level of detail of spelling out down to the T of here is a department, here are the 4 people, and here are their titles in the department, it does not provide the city great flexibility. As you've seen, we've already kind of blown past this because the needs to keep up with the city, the needs to cater to our talent and retain and attract and then retain people. These positions get moved all over. They're combined with another title or another position, just completely limiting with our flexibility. But also, just generally speaking, I have never seen this level of detail for positions being denoted in a charter ordinance or a governing ordinance like this. So this level of detail is probably very unnecessary, maybe antiquated, maybe it served a purpose at some time, but I just wanted to call your attention. None of those positions in there that exist now are going away just because that section is redlined. But the big one here, and I think probably that garner more attention from you as you were reading through this, is the new and old section 2.44. And that is how our officers and statutory officers and non-officer appointed officials come about, who appoints them and then who confirms them. And I just wanted to draw your attention to that section because I think this might be more to provide you some context of what we're trying to accomplish here. So if we go up to the top of this, first section here, the preamble, if you will, we have, as a city in the state of Wisconsin, we have several statutory officers that we're required to have. That first section, if you look at treasurer, clerk, attorney, engineer, assessor, health officer, chief of police, chief of the fire department, technical term, and library director are all statutory officers that we need to maintain here in the city of Oak Creek. But then we have other non-officer appointed officials, and that is going to be our senior leadership, our directors, our assistant administrators, and our deputy administrators. And that's probably where you're seeing the tie-in with the organizational plan that you talked about last meeting. The way that those positions are going to be appointed moving forward is no different than how they were appointed yesterday or 2 years ago or 10 years ago. The mayor offers an appointment to the common council, and the full common council provides their confirmation of that with a majority vote. There are exceptions in the statutes for the chief of police, the chief of fire, and the library board, who has a different governing body per the statute to make that confirmation. So of all of the management positions styled styled director, styled assistant administrator, or styled deputy administrator will come to the full common council for confirmation when they're vacant moving forward now and then as those positions become vacant. What we've put a little more flesh on the bone to is the procedure for filling vacancies. If you look at the old methodology in 244 and 245, it was really, there was no detail to that. So the mayor offered an appointment and the council confirmed that appointment by a majority vote. There was no process to, well, how does the mayor get to providing an appointment? And we're trying to put that into the process moving forward, and that is what you see in sections C2, 3, and I believe 4. So when one of those positions is vacant, the city administrator will look at a recruitment. If there are significant changes to the position description or the salary, that will be communicated to the mayor and council, or presumably here the personnel and finance committee. That's kind of the idea, but it can be any body that you direct to do that. So the mayor then at their discretion can elect to participate in the recruitment and provide their recommendations. And following the recruitment based on merit, right? Education, minimum qualifications, and a recommendation from the city administrator to the mayor, that appointment will be offered up to the common council for its consideration and hopefully at that point, confirmation. So we are articulating the process for getting to those appointments. That was not in the previous code. And just to provide some further context on that, I thought about this late one night and came to jot this down on paper yesterday morning because I was really excited to see it. These are, I've been with the city since October of 2016. We have had a total of 14 appointments among our management ranks in those positions that are covered by the new section and section 2.44. And just so you know, all that process that we have codified has been the exact process we've used to fill vacancies for all of those positions. So I know that was one of those things that we want a little more detail on with regards to the organizational plan and the detailed implementation moving forward. But I just wanted to provide some reassurance that that's not something new or obtuse. That's what we've done. And I would also offer that along the way, we've had, of course, the mayor's involvement. We've had common council members involved in some of those recruitments, whether they served on the tourism commission or maybe the planning and zoning commission or plan commission, excuse me. And as we move forward implementing that detailed plan that we arrive at, I envision that participatory process. So I wanted to allay any concerns there. One final point on this section is just the legal, this section accomplishes what 2.5, whatever pages as we spelled it out before. It really accomplishes the same thing, but it groups people together by title and denotes how they're appointed to the positions and of course, or nominated and then confirmed by those positions. So it's really just a more concise legal text to get to the same endpoint, but also moving forward, allow this council and mayor, future common councils and mayors to create that and work with that, how they see fit and how that needs to change without coming back and amending our charter ordinance every time to do that. So your guiding documents moving forward, now that the appointment process is in place, will be those organizational documents, those organizational plans. And if you needed to tweak something wasn't working, we wanted to maybe combine departments or whatever it is we do, we don't want to come back and have to amend the charter ordinance to do so. Okay? And of course, there's some other role definition and things like that. But I'll pause now and turn it over to you because it's important. This is your foundation for the community. It hasn't been updated in a while, as you see. I think the code sections related to the city administrator position hadn't been touched, but for in a very minor way, since 2003. So this community's changed a lot. Our staff positions have certainly changed a lot. And we tried to capture, again, the current operating system and governance system that we have here because we think it's a good one. But if that's not how we want to move forward, we should absolutely have that discussion also. So with that, I'll yield, Mayor.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll open it up to council. Questions, discussion. Steve?
I just want to say thanks for all of those involved in making these changes because it's quite a heavy task, and it isn't just something you do overnight. We discussed this in personnel and finance. It's gone back and forth. Suggestions were made, comments were made, and the city changes, management and structure changes over the years, and things haven't been updated since 2003 for the city administrator. So it's an update is due, and I'm happy with it. Thank you.
Greg?
I just have a quick question. No issues with it at all. I'm just curious as to 2.44, paragraph B. Is there a specific reason that it shows that there was positions eliminated in the code? I know there's been changes to commissions and boards, and I haven't seen that spelled out. Like why a commission is eliminated, it's not put in here. Is there a reason that those 3 officer positions are actually written in that they're eliminated?
Yes, thank you. That was, and I would invite Attorney Carls to jump in too. There are many more statutory officers in the statutes that cities and villages predominantly can or shall have. There are also certain positions that, I don't know, maybe over the last 100 and how many ever years of Wisconsin's existence and existence of cities and villages, where cities have evolved and maybe no longer use these titles, or professions have evolved, and a street commissioner 98% of the time is your public works director. So we have combined, I shouldn't use that term. These statutory duties of said positions in Section B have already been absorbed by other roles and titles in our organization and have been that way for many years. I mean, our weed commissioner has probably been our DPW director for, I know Chief Stecker no longer wants a town constable running around. I mean, he might be able to speak to that, but that might be problematic for him. But they're just antiquated, and I don't know when, but probably over the course of time, the statutes reacted to the antiquity of those.
So does
Is that
that
fair?
Yeah, so I guess my question is, does that then stay in the code that they've been eliminated, or at some point does that just come out because they no longer exist?
Thank you. So that would stay in the code, Alderman Lorik, as proposed, specifically for that reason. I think Andrew said it well. I mean, he was quoting from the statute. 6209 sub 1 sub A refers to all of these officers, and it's an extensive list. I mean, the officers includes the mayor, the treasurer, the clerk, the comptroller, attorney, engineer, assessor, constable, health officer, street commissioner, board of police and fire commissioners, police chief, fire chief, board of public works, and then the other catch-all is and such other officers or boards as are created by law or by council. So to the extent that the statute also says that the council can dispense with certain of those officers, the street commissioner, the comptroller, the constable, we need to address that and affirmatively put it there. And I think it's being explicit in terms of calling out what those statutory officers are. So to make sure that they're not lost, not addressed over time when there's a different council sitting here, or different management, that it's known that it was intentional.
Okay, thanks. That was it.
Yeah, I'll come right down the line. Jim?
Yeah, just a shout out to Administrator Andrew over there, Mayor Dan, and Melissa, Attorney Melissa, for their work and effort on this. It's obvious after sitting down with Melissa for probably an hour, going over some of my questions, that a fair amount of thought has gone into this. Shout out to you guys for the work and effort on that. I think it does bring us up to date. Makes our city more current, and also brings it into a more professional looking chapter 2.
I agree with everyone else's comments and appreciate the gender neutrality being added in.
Chris?
All of my comments have been made, so thank you very much all for going the extra mile to, as Alderman Ritz mentioned, to put this together. So thank you.
Yeah, I will not be redundant with my comments. I mean, 20-plus years, this hasn't been hit. And this day and age, just gender neutrality, we did have a female mayor 30 years ago. And I'm amazed we never touched it back then. It probably wasn't worth the effort. Not that because of the gender neutrality, it's just people overlooked it back in the day, and it's a lot of work to change this charter ordinance every time you discover something such as that. So, it was a lot of work. So, to be quite honest with you, my part wasn't as extensive as the staff's part here, but it was a lot of work for them, without a doubt.
I think it was important that your input was there.
Without a doubt, and I agree with council members, we have to continue to move forward because things do change from time to time, and change can be pain, but that's the only way you grow and adapt and stay competitive at the same time. Any other discussion on item 5? Okay, seeing none, some brave soul's gonna make one long motion.
I've got an idea here, I'm gonna try it.
We'll see if Melissa lets it go.
So, Ritz motions to approve. Ritz motions to approve, cluster ordinance number 17, per the sections as read into the record listed in the Common Council agenda dated September 19th, 2023. Instead of reading them all.
Marshall will second.
Jim, I think that's September 19th,
What did I say?
17th.
Thank you.
Second concurs.
Agreed.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall. Aye. Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorick.
Aye.
Kudos, Jim, that was either very smart or a little bit cowardly, I'm not exactly sure
Give
which.
me a little both, a little both.
Okay, moving on. Item 6, we have a presentation from the Joint Recreation Platform Update by Heather Ryan, the Director of the Oak Creek Education and Recreation, better known as OCR. So, gonna get a great update on another change that was made in the city not too long ago.
Talking about changing and moving forward. So I think that you guys may have a copy of the presentation. I also wanted to make sure you had a copy of the scorecard that we included in the presentation. If you don't, perfect, okay. So those are the things that I'm gonna be referencing. I like to give gifts, so I made sure I brought plenty for people. I also have our catalog, if you'd like a copy of it. If you haven't seen it in your home, you should, but certainly you can we have the fresh copies in our office and brought them for you as well. 2021 is kind of the start of all this when we went into the joint platform. And so I've been honored to be able to help serve kind of in that role, bridging what we had done with the city in the past, and then adding those pieces that we had done through the school district to serve the community as a whole, from preschool age children to our seniors. And some people in our office are a little upset that we refer to seniors as 50 and older, so I don't know how we, but that's what we count them as, so we're good. So this is, the update that I'm sharing is based on the 2022-23 school year. We're in 23-24 school year right now, so our school year ends June 30th, so anything that happened from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 was included in here. I don't know if you want to show the PowerPoint or, okay. Okay, so our mission is to deliver high-quality programs in safe and engaging environments for our community to learn and grow. It was, our mission was similar when it was just what we called the Youth Programs Department in the school district. We added environments for our community rather than school-age students. So we've embraced the expanse of the population. So I like to share some big numbers as we start. The first is our total number of participants in our programs, not including open gyms, is 7,287 people registered for Oak Creek Rec programs in the 2022-23 school year. And that includes, as you see on the far right of the screen, a little girl in our toddlers and tools class, and up at the top, some kids enjoying our open gym or open swim at the pool, and then some seniors that went on one of our summer field trips to some gardens in Greenfield. So a wide variety of programs. Kind of looking at this from three directions. We do seek input on what we do. We've done surveys of participants in our programs. We've done community surveys that we've looked at pretty closely to figure out what direction we should go. We have conversations with the people that are participating in our programs, asking to see what they'd like to see more of or how we can serve them. And we also maintain memberships in the Wisconsin Park and Rec Association, the Southeast Rec Department Consortium, and also the National After School Association. So we have memberships in those to help give us ideas of kind of trends that are happening, best practice, things that we should be moving forward with. And then we also look at ways to align the resources that we've got. So the resources we have are staff. We have 293 employees. The vast majority of those are part-time seasonal people who are anything from our lifeguards to our soccer referees to basketball coaches, as well as our after-school staff and our summer camp staff. Training is another resource that we rely on, online training. We have a lot of resources available to our staff to take online training, seasonal staff training that we do at the start of every fresh season, and then retreats that we offer to our core team so we can get together and kind of regroup on what we need to do and where we're going. And then our resource of facilities. So places we use are our schools after the school day is done or before the school day begins. City Hall, right across the way, we use for our senior card social on Mondays from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And Pins and Needles program, which is over in the Tower Room, the first and third Thursday of every month. So we use the City Hall for that. We use the school district offices for our preschool programming, our daytime programming, including our senior fit class, our yoga classes, the toddlers and tool classes, and some of those things that we offer as well. And a really cute Mr. Branch music class, if you ever want to make your heart swell. Come in on tomorrow, actually, I think he has a class. 2- and 3-year-olds come in with their parents and sing and dance, and it's wonderful. The next slide, if you would, Mr. Vickers, is essentially the scorecard, so how we measure our impact. And the scorecard is something I had developed a year ago or so, trying to figure out where we're at and how we know if we're doing a good job or not. And the reality is that numbers, to me, speak volumes, and that's probably the easiest thing to measure. So that's what we went with this. So I looked at enrichment programming that we offer, the number of students that we offer, the number of students or participants we have, the number of services that we offer, kind of combined. So you'll see that if we're red, it's kind of trending down. If it's green, we're trending up. You'll notice the first thing there, and sometimes it seems concerning, but actually it shows to me a little bit of efficiency. So sometimes we throw a lot at the wall and hope that we hit something, and maybe sometimes we reel it back in a little bit. So enrichment programming, for instance, we had fewer student programs that were offered, so we figured out what programs work well, but we had significantly more people participating. So offering fewer programs at a higher rate of return, which to me is a good direction to go. The number of adult programs that we offered 57 adult programs in enrichment this last year, and we had 472 participants. Again, a little bit few more programs, but a lot more participants, or at least 20 more. Childcare and development would be those programs that we offer: our School Days Out program, our summer camp program, and our before and after school program called Aspire. So the number of students enrolled in those programs for the school year were 2,440. I know that we had a question in our Park and Rec Commission when I shared this information. Why was I showing a trend up when I have in the year 2020, 2021, we have 6,130 students participating, and this last year we had 2,440. The reality is that 6,130 was because of a school day camp that we offered on a week-to-week basis during COVID, where we had every elementary school open to 30 students, and our staff were supporting them in the cafeteria, socially distanced online learning. And the registration was week to week because we didn't know how long our at-home virtual learning was going to last. So that number was significantly higher than what we'll probably ever see again, but that's where that anomaly comes from. Camp OC is our summer camp program. We offer both wraparound care for summer school and then full-day camps for students who are in kindergarten through 8th grade, entering kindergarten through 8th grade. And so last year we had 1,482 students enrolled into that. Again, more in the summer, but our count ends on June 30th. School Days Out, we were kind of intentionally lower with our number of students that we allowed, so that you'll see that number is a little bit lower. The number of our Aspire students, that number again was a little bit lower. A lot of parents were still working from home and didn't need that after school or before school care. So now we're trending back. We're seeing pre-COVID numbers in all of our programming, going gangbusters, quite honestly. Aquatic services, our participants in aquatics is continuing to grow. We have leveled swim programs, we have lifeguard certification programs, we have recreational swim programs where we actually compete against other communities, Burlington, Cudahy, South Milwaukee, Milwaukee Rec, where our kids will go and compete in those pools as well as they come to ours. So we're seeing it improving our high school swim teams as well, but keeping kids active and engaged in our programs, whether it goes on further competition or not. And then the number of programs, we had 161 aquatic programs that we offered this last year. For sports and wellness as a whole, we've seen those things grow. Students in our programs, 145 student programs, 2,170 students in participating in those programs. Adults participating in those programs, 64. Again, number of adult participants, 474. That number is a little down. We had Senior Fit is an incredibly popular program for our seniors, and we had some staff leave, and we weren't able to fill that position, and we just restarted it a week ago. So we have a lot of folks participating in that, along with gentle yoga classes, so those will start to pick up again as well. And then something that probably wouldn't impact you as much, but we're also responsible for all of the community access to the school facilities that we have after school hours. So all of those rental and that information is on there as well. So that's how we measure our impact. Then the next slide. Again, this is more on the community facility use if you have an interest. I included information on there. Our community rentals are up, not necessarily as many number of renters, but the amount of time that they're renting is significantly more. So our next steps, the things that we're looking to go to next. Some of our opportunities we found are with our adult programming and with our Little Tyke programming. We have a pretty good handle on the school-age programs. We've been doing it for a while, but we know that there's some opportunities to grow with our adult programs and our preschool-age programming. The challenges we have, just like everywhere else, staffing has been really difficult. It's hard to find people who want to work part-time evenings and weekends at not a great rate of pay to just help out. Even those that want to volunteer are kind of not as willing to step up right now either. And the other challenge that we have is with our facilities. We probably could use a lot more during the day to make available programming. We don't have it. So we're looking elsewhere to see how we can expand for daytime programs and services, because there's a need for that as well. So those are some of the kind of next steps and challenges that we have, but we're looking forward to it. Questions that you guys might have or want to know about?
I just want to say thank you publicly for your support of, as you may know, you probably don't know, but these folks know, I'm a volunteer Little League umpire, and I'm part of a group of training. It's training staff here, and we train every year. We train a group of young kids to want to be Little League umpires. Oak Creek, South Milwaukee, Franklin. There's like 8 leagues that we have. So I just want to thank you for the support that you give us. We're going to be venturing into our 3rd year at Edgewood School,
Good.
and just a perfect facility for training the youth. And just want to thank you for the support. It really means a lot to us, because without you, we really wouldn't have a place to go.
Well, you're welcome.
Okay.
They're your spaces. We're just glad to be able to provide them to you.
Yeah.
Keep them clean and updated.
Comments for Heather?
You want to know about?
Just, I love your scorecard.
Oh, good.
It's nice to see everything really progressing forward.
Right.
Even the ones you had some retrenchment, you explained part of it. And all of them, if you look at 2019, you're hitting out of the ballpark. So
Yeah, trying to.
Good job.
Again, it's going to be one of those where we're kind of getting to that sweet spot, trying to make sure that we have the facilities and we have the staff to be able to continue to grow, but there's a certain spot where it's like, okay, this is where we're settling in. But right now, we're moving
Great.
forward.
Good job.
Okay, just one little comment. On a daily basis, just in my regular work job, I use the term pre-K to gray all the time.
Yeah.
You might consider that as opposed to seniors as being over 50, because I think that puts all of us there. So, just as a thought.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm good, thank you.
Andrew, it looks like you want to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Heather and I meet monthly. We have as brief or as long as a call as we need to have to kind of troubleshoot and just see how things are going and keep that connectivity. And she alluded to this earlier, but she provides more frequent updates to the Parks and Recreation Commission on this as a body as outlined in our agreement for our joint recreation platform to bounce ideas off and get some guidance from them. Heather's done a great job. When we transitioned this thing, you thought it would be some momentous shift in the community. And I don't know about the alderman or the mayor, but I think I had one angry person, and that was at the beginning of this transition. And that was something to do with non-resident versus resident or something along those lines. It was taken care of, and I can't really even remember the details of it, but it was minor. But when I talk with Heather on a monthly basis, she talks about the staffing challenges, and some of the logistics, the facilities, and we had those very same challenges. So for two entities, or for one entity serving the same need and doing it in a great job in a great way for the community, to not bifurcate and each have those representative challenges and put our efforts towards a single kind of common goal, not fighting for the same people, not fighting for the same participants or employees. From my standpoint, it's just been really, really, accepted by the community. And hopefully that's what you as elected folks are hearing as well, or at least hearing nothing, which is probably a good thing. Certainly a lot of challenges we otherwise would have had as well. And we're happy to support the school district in attacking those challenges as opposed to each taking them on in our own constituent parts. So thank you for that, Heather, and it's been awesome.
Yeah, and I'll just throw my comments in too. This was another big shift for the city of Oak Creek. We had been running programs the same way through our Park and Rec department when it existed, and over the years it really got dismantled, beginning with Act 10, and we lost our director there and everything that went on with it. Once we did this, we did hit COVID, so things took off a little differently. But in the end, we, as Andrew said, we were competing. We had similar programs, redundancies. This better serves the community which we all live in. And we are partners.
Right.
A lot of people really don't disassociate the school and the city as two different elected bodies at times or organizations. You're all Oak Creek. So I think it's working out really well. I think the numbers show that. I think it's really smart to look at the programs and what's really meaningful and where your rubber meets the road, so to speak. And you can have a million programs, but if they're not meaningful, you're better off having some meat on the bones on what you're doing. So, and you'll learn that as things change. We talked about communities changing. Believe me, playgrounds don't look the same as when I was a little kid.
Yeah, they don't. They're changing too.
So, any other questions, comments?
Heather, I would like one of the OCR program guides when you have a
Absolutely.
choice
Of
or a
course.
chance.
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you for coming in, Heather. Keep up the great
course.
work.
We
Do
will keep
appreciate it.
going. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We'll get us to engineering in item 7. It's consideration of a resolution donating and waiving appraisal for a temporary limited easement consisting of a 24-foot wide strip to Milwaukee County in the 2nd District. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. Matt Sullivan, City Engineer. Before you is the resolution to donate and waive the appraisal for a temporary limited easement. Milwaukee County has been working towards the final design of South 13th Street from West Pewits Road up to West Drexel. One of the final stages in doing so is acquiring real estate, and whether that be under fee or easements. So we have a parcel out there that is where a box culvert crosses 13th Street. We own the parkland on both sides. They're looking to get a temporary easement to do grading, basically match into the existing ground. One of the issues they're running into is getting comparable or finding recent sales to do an appropriate appraisal study. So they've requested or asked us to donate and waive our appraisal rights. With doing so, we forego a payment of approximately $1,400. If we so choose not to, they would have to somehow find that appraisal, which becomes difficult, and getting that correct appraisal through their statutory rights. It is our recommendation of engineering, after we looked at it, since it is only an easement and would be gone after the project is finished, to approve that donation and waiving our appraisal rights. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Matt? Seeing none, motion on 7, please.
Lorick moves to approve resolution number 12430-091923, donating and waiving appraisal for the temporary limited easement consisting of a 24-foot wide strip to Milwaukee County.
Ritzel, second.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Item 8 is consideration of a resolution accepting the workmanship of Edgerton Contractors, Inc., and authorizing final contract payment under project number 21024. Matt?
Thank you, Mayor. This is, we're looking to close out the project from the soil moving from MMSD. If you recall, prior to our revetment and stabilization project, we moved approximately 200,000 or accepted 200,000 yards of clean soil from MMSD project. Some of the issues, I guess, as we ran into, as depicted within there, the project or the contractor for the project with MMSD ran over, had to extend time, that being on Saturdays. Per our agreements, we had to have people on site accepting that soil. Part of those responsibilities was accepting in tickets from where it left MMSD site to where it received in Oak Creek. This was part of the agreement under the DNR. So a lot of those costs associated with those overruns are part of that. It's one of those things of doing business and accepting clean soil where we didn't have to pay for it. So we're looking to close out the project, pay that final retainage of, I think it was 48,000 roughly, to Edgerton. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, comments for Matt? No, but that was a great deal with MMSD we got for the cost of the trucking, and we needed that dirt. So
Exceptional.
another huge savings for the city there. Okay, seeing no discussion, motion please.
Marshall moves to approve resolution number 1243-091923, accepting the workmanship of Edgerton Contractors Incorporated and authorizing final contract payment under project number 21024.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Marshall.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
And item 9 is consideration of a resolution approving the Milwaukee Area Technical College Truck Driving Track Development Agreement with the Milwaukee Area Technical College for the design and construction of public improvements located at 6665 South Howell Avenue. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a standard development agreement. This is for a project that MATC is undertaking and expanding some of their area to improve their classes in their truck driving area. And one of the areas that they're running into is there is a fire hydrant located within that improvements. We do actually have an easement for that public water main that's existing. They're going to extend it outside of the parking lot proposal. So this development agreement kind of covers that work, which is just a water main extension and a relocation of a fire hydrant. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Matt? I would imagine the fire department's okay with the new location of the hydrant.
Fire department and water and
Chief's
sewer.
going, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. We just don't want to hide it on them. So, okay. Motion on 9.
Kirkowski will make a motion that the council adopt resolution number 12432-091923, approving the Milwaukee Area Technical College Truck Driving Track Development Agreement with Milwaukee Area Technical College for the design and construction of public improvements located at 6665 South Howell Avenue.
Lorik seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
And item 10 is the License Committee. I'd like to turn that over to Alderman Kirkowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I trust everybody's had an opportunity to review the items on tonight's Common Council report. Does anybody have any questions, cares, or concerns? All right, seeing none, Kirkowski make a motion to grant the various license requests as listed on the September 19, 2023 License Committee report.
Lorik seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
And item 11 is our vendor summary report for September 13th, 2023. It is in the amount of $6,439,287.09. You do have the report in front of you, and if there are any questions, please feel free to take the floor. And when you're satisfied, there's no questions or discussion, motion, please.
Marshall will move to approve the September 13th, 2023 vendor summary report in the total of $6,439,287.09.
Guzekowski will second.
Roll call.
Alderman Lorik.
Aye.
Fritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Okay, before we adjourn, as always, thank you to our staff. Thank you for Heather Ryan coming out, bringing us up to date on the Oak Creek Park and on the Oak Creek Recreation report. And as we wind into fall, the farmers market continues for a few more weeks. But this is our annual cafe, so it is the 4th year running. If you have not been to cafe, really urge you to look into it. Cafe stands for culture, art, food, and entertainment. It's probably the most unique event the city of Oak Creek puts on. There's multi-cultures there with food samples, dance demonstration. You get to see their art, their culture. It goes on from 1 to 5 at Drexeltown Square immediately following the market. Weather's supposed to be with us, so I'm looking forward to it. Have some new groups there this year. It's going to be a lot of fun, so hope to see you there. That will get us to adjournment.
Fritz will motion to adjourn.
Lorik seconds.
Roll call.
Alderman Ritz.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Guzekowski.
Aye.
Kirkowski.
Aye.
Lorick.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Good night, everyone.